we? What are we doing?
Well, I've just written a book, which is really exciting, called You Don't Really Believe in Astrology, Do You? How Astrology Can Reveal Profound Patterns in Your Life. And yes, it's a very exciting time, because I think the time is ripe now in the world for astrology to take its place again.
Wonderful. So what inspired you to write the book?
Well, I was increasingly aware of the gap between the study that I was doing up at Jesus College, Oxford, every summer, and sitting in oak-panelled lecture rooms and learning the depth and scale of this wonderful language of astrology. And then I'd come back to normal life, and people would say to me, they'd sort of sidle up to me and say, yeah, but you don't really believe in astrology, do you? And it was that increasing gap, that grand canyon of misunderstanding between the two, that eventually made me think, I've just got to write a book about this to clarify all of it.
And here we are.
Here we are.
It's just been released on Amazon.
Yeah.
And there are going to be many people who are going to be watching you, and they're going to be saying, well, why is my birth time so important?
It sounds crazy, doesn't it, that the time is so important, but it really, really is, because the time determines the clock face, the orientation of the clock face of the chart, because obviously the Earth is spinning through the day. And for instance, your entire clock face will change by a degree for every 4 minutes on the clock. So if your birth time is 8 minutes wrong, that will be 2 degrees different. If I'm looking at a slow-moving planet like Pluto, I could be 3 years out in describing experiences for you, which the time difference is going to be 3 years wrong, essentially.
So it's very, very significant.
Very sensitive. Very sensitive.
Wow. So you talk in the book, and I've read some of it already. I'm looking forward to the rest of it, but we haven't had time ahead of the interview. You talk about our DNA and how that relates to our astrological birth chart. Can you explain a bit more?
Absolutely, because I think of the chart as your organic blueprint, and that's really what your DNA is. And perhaps another way, an even simpler way to think of it is an acorn. You know, if you've never witnessed it, and I was telling you that an acorn is going to grow into an oak tree, you'd think, well, that's just impossible. But it does. The acorn contains all the information for you to grow into you. So it's like an information seed that within that, all of the experiences, the events, the development in your life, for you to grow into you, are already in that birth chart. I mean, that must be the case, otherwise I couldn't describe where people are at when they come and see me as clients. So think of it as an acorn, as an information seed. It's an organic blueprint which unfolds through your life. And Aristotle called it entellechy, unfolding into who we're meant to become.
Wow. So how can we relate to that then in the context of, if we're born as an acorn, we start our life as an acorn and we're trying to grow into something other than an oak tree, which so many people are nowadays. They're trying to be something different to what they truly are.
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's where the problem comes in, I think. You know, to my knowledge, acorns don't have free will, so they just naturally unfold into who they're meant to become, an oak tree. They don't unfold into a chrysanthemum, for instance. But because we have free will and peer pressure, we may often resist what is trying to unfold. Perhaps we're not quite confident enough to take that opportunity. And it's when we resist that life doesn't flow so well, and that's when people come and see me.
So you're saying that understanding our astrological aspects, the elements in our DNA, who we truly are, can help us to become a better co-creator with our fellow humans?
Absolutely. I mean, and this is a huge benefit of astrology. I think there are many, many, many benefits, but astrology can just be so practical in that if you really know who you are, you know your skills, you know your talents and abilities, when certain opportunities come up as you move through your life, you've got the confidence to go for them, because your chart is essentially energy potential. And it's being able to maximise those opportunities, maximise your potential at any time in your life that really helps you live a full life. And what you're doing with your chart is following your individualised roadmap. It isn't anybody else's roadmap, it's your roadmap. And that's truly empowering for people to understand that.
So your chart is like a power blueprint.
Absolutely. That's another way to look at it.
Or a cosmic weather forecast.
Well, certainly the blueprint is your natal chart, and the cosmic weather forecast, I think, is a great description. It's one I use in the book, and it's really understanding the opportunities and experiences that are likely to come into your life and how you can use those best, how you can really play them to the maximum. You know, I often think of another analogy that the chart is your unique sheet of music, completely unique to you by date, time and place. And we have a choice whether we play it on a tin box or play it with a London Philharmonic. You know, we can have a little life or we can have a big life. The better you understand your chart, the more empowering it can be to follow that roadmap.
So it sounds to me like people can stand to gain quite a bit just from understanding what's in your book.
Oh, I think a great deal. I think what the book attempts to do, it attempts to do many things, but one of the things it attempts to do is really share with people everything there is to know about the subject of astrology.
So they don't really need to know anything about astrology before reading it?
No, literally nothing. I expect the people who will read it will be curious about the subject of astrology, but I've written the book, so even if you have no knowledge, you can benefit enormously from reading the book.
And you told me before we started the interview that quite a few people have already read the book. You've been giving the books out to friends and colleagues in the industry. What sort of feedback have you had, honestly?
Well, you know, I've been very, very pleased so far. I mean, it's early days, but people have, all of the people who've read it have said they found it absolutely fascinating and very thought-provoking. And even weeks afterwards, people have come back and said, you know, I'm still thinking about things you said in the book. It's made me think about how time works, how the nature of our reality works. It's made me think quite deeply about the paradigm that astrology offers. So that's exciting.
Are these all people who are in the New Age sort of world?
No, not at all. In fact, some people who've bought it, they've bought it simply because they know me and they've never been involved in anything like astrology before and know nothing of it, and even they have really enjoyed it, and it's made them think about their world in such a different way. I want to provoke questions. I want to open people's minds to how practical astrology is.
Wonderful.
And also how spiritual it is. It's a spiritual framework to live by.
Excellent. So Pam, just give us in a nutshell then, the book is out on Amazon.
It's out on Amazon, yep, or you can go onto my website, which is www.thenextstep.uk.com, and you can buy it directly from there via PayPal, or there's an Amazon button on there as well. But it'll give you a sample chapter, and it'll also give you a little bit of information about the book too.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed reading what I have so far, and doing the interview with you. It's been great fun already.
Thank you, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.